Okay, let's switch focus now to dairy. So we'll go to the dairy sector, and it's been an interesting year for dairy. I look at the revenue trends. So if you look at gross revenues in the dairy sector, it's been moving up about 3% for the first 9 months. So I think you add the last 3 months of 2024, when we get the final results, will be a lot higher than 3% in increase in revenues. What are we looking at for 2025?
Yeah, so 2024 was a much improved year for dairy producers, and so it was needed. Prior to that, there was 4 to 5 years that were fairly bumpy for that industry. So looking ahead to this year, there's a few things that we are confident about, and that's prices. And so we know the farm gate price of milk there's going to be only a small decline this year. It's pretty much unchanged. So we're seeing that, but also from the cost of production side, we're seeing those feed costs come down like you'd mentioned. So that's supporting profitability this year as well. And you know what, demand. So population growth has been something that's really been driving a lot of demand. So we'll see what that means for this year coming up, because we know that there's slowing population growth. There's going to be reduced immigration. So are we still going to see that demand from the population growth? So we'll be monitoring that. So if you look at this next figure on the screen here, this is our forecast for the price of milk. And so I want to highlight, though, that not all of the price of milk in Canada is set within the supply managed system. I think it's about 15% of the blended price comes from the U.S. market. So there's a couple classes of milk that are priced out of the U.S. And what we're noticing is that those prices are actually higher than the forecast from the USDA. So when you look at this figure, this is model driven. We're seeing prices that in this are trending a little bit lower, but I'd say there's upside to this. And so we know the models, there's a lot of market dynamics. Models aren't going to capture all of that. So I would say when you look at this, there's going to be upside potential for prices, which will help support profitability. And so the key factors this season are, we're going to watch the price. We're going to see what the weather's like and how the feed availability is for those producers. So overall, I would say profitability for 2025 is going to be a little bit lower than last year, but still above the 5-year average.
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? I love that you pointed out that the model, this is what you see up on the screen, kind of sort of suggests that the price, if you kind of look at the average, I eyeball the average for 25, you're looking perhaps at a lower price on average. But really, I think there's a bit of upside, as you were talking about, in terms of some of and then the farm price, or the expected farm price, is not expected to move. I mean, look at cost of production coming down, inflation was up, and so the average of that. And the Canadian Dairy Commission stated out or announced that the milk price was barely going to stay constant. So bottom line is there's a little bit of upside, and we think that we might be looking at a bit more optimistic situation when it comes to prices than what you see up on the screen. So that's good news. Let's talk about other good news, I think, because if you look at, you mentioned population growth. So we've had quite a bit of population growth. By the end of 2024, population growth was around a little less than 3% in Canada. Yet it caught my attention that when you look at the volume of dairy product sales, it went up 7%. So, right, population growth up 3%, overall volume up 7%. So that difference on a per capita basis, it really means that demand went up. So something to say here?
Yeah, and it was unexpected, honestly. So that's a good sign, because, with slowing population growth, if we still see that per capita consumption remaining the same or increasing, that's going to help support profitability as well. So those margins, I said, would be a little bit lower than last year. We could actually see that improve, and we're already seeing some announcements of incentive days. So I think there is strong demand, which is great for the industry.
Yeah, incentive days recently announces with regards to quota as well, growing in the western part of the country. So all good news as well on that front.